Greetings, Zimbabwe. Welcome to the program Power Talk. In today's program, we host former MDC National Chairman Morgan Komichi, who is also a senator. Senator Komichi, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, brother.
Perfect.
I'd like to welcome all listeners who are currently looking at this particular program. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Senator. Without wasting much of your time, Senator, there is no need for introduction as to your political career. It's well known, well documented, a familiar face within the political landscape of the country. So, of interest to me, as a first question, Senator, would be, what's your current position or standing with regard to the MDC?
I am currently the president in interim capacity of MDC, which is going to be trading as United Movement for Democratic Change.
Right.
Just like we had the MDC Alliance, we had MDC T, but the MDC remains our original name and status.
Right.
But currently, for the purpose of uniting so many disgruntled MDC family members who are in various quarters, some of them are in Triple C, some are in Zanu, some are in Douglas Mwonzora outfit, some are Madam Cooper's outfit. I want to reunite everyone under the outfit called United Movement for Democratic Change. So I'm the interim president who is calling everyone to come on board so that we can have a proper restructured party so that at an agreed time we will run a national congress that will elect the permanent president.
But what brought about the change for you to become the president of the interim UMDC, as you mentioned? What made this circumstance?
Let me give you an analogy. If you are a trained pilot and you are, on that particular day, you are a passenger, and the pilot in charge is struck by a stroke, he can't or she can't direct the plane, and the plane is about to plunge into the Atlantic Ocean or into a very big mountain. A normal pilot who is a passenger would run and remove the ill or the sick pilot, and the pilot who is a passenger would save the people in the plane and also save the plane itself. So this is what I did on the 14th of June. When I realized that the great movement MDC was plunging into the Atlantic Ocean under the leadership of Douglas Mwonzora, I had to remove him from the seat because, as far as I'm concerned, he was not able to run the party, and I took the party. That's why I termed the press conference the revival of United Movement for Democratic Change. So I'm currently working on the revival program of that great party. I have the confidence, the capacity, the know-how. I'm a student on the track line. I work very closely with him. I know what he used to do to run the party. I was very close to the president by that time, and I know I can do quite a lot of work to revive it.
Okay, would this be a consultative process, or I would say it involves a lot of people, or is just Senator Komichi on his own?
It's actually not Senator Komichi alone. Senator Komichi is known for his courage. I think there were certain instances in which I stood up on behalf of the people, and I pronounced certain quite dangerous and threatening statements that would have actually put my life at some risk. And this is what I did. This is what I did. But the sympathy that I'm having, almost all provinces right now, they are behind me. Some of the leaders that are with Douglas Mwonzora sympathize with what I did, and they're supportive of what I did. So I'm currently coordinating and organizing the people in the various parts of the country to revive the party. I've got the people have got confidence in me, and I'm very confident, quite sure I have got the capacity to restore the dignity which MDC had, the opposition mantra which MDC had before, the politics which Morgan was doing. I used to it. I can do it.
Senator Komichi, how do you measure the support that you give? For example, maybe you may note a few notable names who are in the UMDC, who can say this one is a very well-known MDC member for a long time. But so far, at the press conference, I only saw you as the most prominent of the MDC members.
Thank you so much for asking that question, but for the time being, I'm not prepared to expose those particular people in names. Some of them are phoning me, some of them I'm talking to them. I think as a strategic move, I cannot do that because I would have betrayed their trust and confidence in me. But I can assure you, right now, I can go to any province and I'll be able to address leadership in those particular areas. The people that are in the province, they are actually in talking terms with me. And we are doing everything possible to restart this party, revive this great party. And I'm so happy and I'm so confident. This is the time which I think many people are waiting for. That's why you saw on record very few people, if not no one, registered as a candidate under Mwonzora's outfit because people have no confidence in him. They know it's not votable. The survey that came out proved that he's the most hated politician in this market. And no one would want to go off to an election using the table, the most hated politician in this market. These are really facts. I don't want really to dwell on the qualities and failures of his leadership. He's quite a failed leader, but I don't want to waste time in describing how he failed. But many people have judged him, many people know that. That's why it's not votable. People have concluded that he's not a good leader, he's not a possible leader.
But if you go back a few perhaps months back or a few years back, you sided with him after the Supreme Court ruling,
yes,
where it declared Nelson Chamisa as illegitimate, and you went instead with what we may term the Mwonzora faction. So do you regret that moment?
I don't regret that moment because I stood for the values. MDC is certain values that I still respect right now. And I believe in a value-centered organization.
Right.
And I also believe in value-centered leadership. When you go against the values of the Constitution and you betray and abuse people, you think you are more powerful than the people. I don't agree with you. So I supported the Supreme judgment because that Supreme judgment was supporting the values of the MDC. So unfortunately, my friend Douglas Mwonzora took over. He became worse than the things that we fought for. He became worse than my young man, President Chamisa. So President Chamisa currently is vindicated on what he did. So because Douglas Mwonzora did worse things than what we were trying to correct. So I stand to say, as long as you do the wrong things, you are unconstitutional, that is no respect for the people, and you destroy the movement, and you don't give us direction, and we leave people in a wilderness like lost sheep. That's where I'm standing right now. I'm standing here right now with the objective to galvanize, to bring everybody who is lost and introduce new politics, and which is basically, in short, we talked about later, Afrocentric, Pan-Africanism. Right. That's the politics I want to introduce. That's the politics that will be on my forehead, on my desk, as the president of United MDC for Democratic Change. I am going to be leading the Pan-Africanism politics, the Afrocentric systems. That's what I stand for. That is the brand that I'm putting forward to the politics of Zimbabwe.
Right. And how do you see the MDC performing in these coming elections?
The sample was demonstrated on the 26th of March 2022.
Right.
The zeros that we got, they'll be worse off. In that particular situation, I've redefined why we got. I've defined why we got the zeros. Douglas Mwonzora failed to appreciate the theory of politics. The theory of politics says there are only two families in a political arena. There's the family of the opposition and the family of the ruling party. So if you want to be if you decide to go into politics, you must be clear whether you're going to join the ruling party family, or we are going to join the opposition family. Douglas did not choose any of the two. He stood between the two families. And because the two families are very clear, when you go to Zanu-PF family, they will vote for Zanu-PF candidate. When you go to the families of the opposition, they will vote for the person who is standing for the opposition politics. So in between the two families, there's no one. So Douglas stood in between the two families. That's how he got Zanu. So because there's no one who is not clear in his mind. People are defined clearly. They are either opposition family or they are ruling party family. Douglas stood in between, more closer to something. That's why, because every time you went on political podium, you would spend 90 minutes attacking the opposition people like Tendai, Chamisa, and so forth. So the family of the opposition would say, if you're attacking one of us, so where do you belong? If you attack one of us, so you belong to Zanu-PF. That's where the term Zanu-PF Lite came. And I said, no, I cannot be called Zanu-PF Lite. I stood against Zanu-PF from Mugabe's time to President Emmerson Mnangagwa's time, and I was jailed. I was tortured. I was abused by the system, and I resisted the system, and I fought for democratic change. I was one of the front runners fighting for democracy in this country, and I was one of the most jailed, tortured. I have been beaten by Chamisa now, because he has stayed in jail for more years. But I can say, I cannot be labeled Zanu-PF, so it pained me. That's why even after the December August Congress, I did not attend Douglas meetings. I said, I can't betray people's trust. I can't betray my conscience. I never attended these meetings. He held these standing committee meetings, which I never attended, to show to you that I did not respect what came out from the August Congress, which was held in December. So really, truly speaking, I am not Zanu-PF. So what I did on the 4th January was to redefine myself. I am in opposition leader. I shall be in the opposition, the opposition family. That's why I believe. That's why I feel comfortable. I am so relaxed. I am so happy now. I am not interacting with the opposition people. That's my family members.
Right. You are famous, or rather infamous, for an action you took at the 2018 elections. Just before the announcement of the final results, you actually jumped on stage and before the cameras in the world and declared that the result was not free and fair, that your candidate, Chamisa, who you were the chief election candidate for, was the correct winner. Can you discuss the moment again and whether you still stand by it?
As a Democrat, I do believe in democracy. When you come to elections, I want free, fair, and credible elections to be done in place. And I want people of Zimbabwe to elect their preferred candidate. And since we got an agreed process, which is in our constitution and our Electoral Act, we must religiously respect these procedures and rules. I get paid when such things are well written in our constitution, and when it comes to operational processes, then those procedures are not respected and followed. I find it very difficult to keep quiet. On that particular day, I've been the chief election agent for a very long time, for many presidents.
Right.
President Morgan Komichi was the chief election agent. President Chamisa came in, I also became chief election agent. So I'm actually an experienced chief election agent, knowledgeable about what's supposed to be done at the command center. Right. I know that. So I wanted the chief elections officer, Mr. Lite, to do things by the book. Right. So I was with him in his offices. I would follow him, trying to follow every step, how far we've gone. And we did not verify the results. We didn't verify the results. Especially the results were not verified. And I did not want us to go for a disputed election. That was my concern. Because I knew that if the elections are disputed, there will be legitimate crisis. And when this crisis, our country will be isolated internationally. When the country is now under isolation internationally, there will be economic crisis. It will be sanctioned. That's why I did not want that. I've always wanted us to do an election that is undisputed, election that is free and fair and credible, election that is after election, we must all focus towards economic strategy, development programs, rather than to continue in the power struggle, continue in the politics of power, because the politics of power is anti-developmental. It does not pull people in the same direction, and people tend to oppose each other. When we don't realize that, we have forgotten what we taught, what we learned in Form 4, when we were doing Form 4, all of us. We were taught that the Isaac Newton's laws of motions. Isaac Newton said, if two equal forces, or two forces of equal magnitude, interact in opposite direction, there will be no motion. What comes out of it actually is the friction, and the heat is sometimes fire. Similarly, in the political environment, where the opposition and the ruling party are of equal magnitude and interact in opposite direction after election, there shall not be any economic motion. What comes out of it is friction, civil war, and abject poverty. That is why today, when you look at Africa, because of the systems that we are using, the electoral system that we are using, the opposition family, that's why I believe, that's why I feel comfortable. I am so relaxed, I am so happy now. I am not interacting with the opposition people. That's my family members.
Right. You are famous, or rather infamous, for an action you took at the 2018 elections. Just before the announcement of the final results, you actually jumped on stage and before the cameras in the world and declared that the result was not free and fair, that your candidate, Chamisa, who you were the chief election agent for, was the correct winner. Can you discuss the moment again and whether you still stand by it?
As a Democrat, I do believe in democracy. When you come to elections, I want free, fair, and credible elections to be done in place. And I want people of Zimbabwe to elect their preferred candidate. And since we've got an agreed process, which is in our constitution and our electoral act, we must religiously respect these procedures and rules. I get paid when such things are well written in our constitution, and when it comes to operational processes, then those procedures are not respected and followed. I find it very difficult to keep quiet. On that particular day, I've been the chief election agent for a very long time, for many presidents.
Right.
President Morgan Komichi was the chief election agent. President Chamisa came in, I also became the chief election. So I'm actually an experienced chief election agent, knowledgeable about what's supposed to be done at the command center. Right. I know that. So I wanted the chief elections officer, Mr. Lite, to do things by the book. Right. So I was with him in his offices. I would follow him, trying to follow every step, how far we've gone. And we did not verify the results. We didn't verify the results. Especially the constituent results were not verified. And I did not want us to go for a disputed election. That was my concern. Because I knew that if the elections are disputed, there will be legitimate crisis. And when this is crisis, our country will be isolated internationally. When the country is now under isolation internationally, there will be economic crisis. It will be sanctioned. That's why I did not want that. I've always wanted us to do an election that is undisputed, election that is free and fair and credible, election that is after election. We must all focus towards economic strategy, development programs, rather than to continue in the power struggle, continue in the politics of power, because the politics of power is anti-developmental. It does not pull people in the same direction, and people tend to oppose each other. When we don't realize that, we have forgotten what we taught, what we learned in Form 4, when we were doing Form 4, all of us. We were taught that the Isaac Newton's laws of motions. Isaac Newton said, if two equal forces, or two forces of equal magnitude, interact in opposite direction, there will be no motion. What comes out of it actually is the friction, and the heat is Because of the systems that we are using, the electoral system that we are using. You can't point one African country which you can proudly say it is developing economically proportional to its strength in terms of its capacity in terms of national resources. Because after every election, what then happens, the two protagonists, the ruling and the opposition, do not pull in the same direction. It is a result, friction, wars, civil war takes place, and at the end of the day, abject poverty. Because in this institution, when we don't pull in the same direction, the economic development is betrayed, is under threat. That is why you cannot, out of 55 countries in Africa, you can't point one country that is doing well. More countries in Africa, they're falling in civil war because of the disrespect of the Isaac Newton's laws of motions. Countries that have proved me right is China. It has got its democratic system, Chinese-centric system. They have got the change leadership after 10 years or so, but they always focus on economic development. They don't waste time in the power struggle. The only country that I can vouch for in Africa that is respected by theory is the Rwandan government. The Rwandese government is composed of more than 5 political parties in the cabinet. So after their election, they take each other and they form the cabinet together so that they pull in the same direction. There are 3 core values that I want to sell to the Zimbabwean people. Design a system which has got unity, peace, and shared vision. That system will succeed. Whether at a family level, better society, organizations, if you make sure that as a CEO, you focus on peace, unity, and shared vision, you are a success. These are the cornerstones of success. So in governance systems, I am proposing that let us come out with systems that would ensure that after an election, whoever wins would focus on a governance system that respects unity, peace, and shared vision. So as we go towards election, immediately after 2023 election, whether it's President Mnangagwa was on, or President Chamisa was on, or President Kasukwere or Madu, if you pursue the winner-take-all principle, you're not going to go anywhere. Because a winner-take-all principle that we've been using for the last 43 years is called in Shona Shaisam. So if you know when you can Shaisa, that's when you talk about they are supporting sanctions, they are supporting what? They want Shaisa. Time of election, you've been voted by 2.3 million, I've been voted by 2.1 million, and you throw the 2.1 million, and you think I'm stupid. You want me to support you by force? You should be clever enough as a leader to make sure that let's bring the 2 forces together, combine the 2 forces, and pull the same direction. Positive contribution. This is what we do. That aspect is actually Afrocentric in nature. African societies are known for social life, society, community-based. If you remember in the African community before colonization, we used to use the governance systems as a nimbe pachiwana. Kana kuti umwe pachidevera unoti ilima kuma nivenda unoti idhaba. These are African society systems that used to guide in our communities. What were they for? They were an economic strategy that was used by the Africans to make sure that no African person would starve. And if you look in the Nimbe thing, kana kuti woman thing, there were 4 vulnerable community people that were there. Vangosina vakadzi, Chiborume, Chirikadzi, Vangosina Magejo, Vangosina Mombi. So the collective community effort, which I call the Afrocentric economic strategy, where they can show that every family is taken care of through the women processes. So that at the end of the season, no family is left starving. And there's that warfare and Peter's under the number, such that any family appears up for the next season, Mambo to check for. Which therefore means Africans get an Afrocentric economic strategy, which ensured that the community in which we abandoned when the colonizers came. And we took over a system of colonialism, which is now starving us. The danger of the colonial system, it was designed for a small community. For example, it was 200,000 whites that was designed. It was very good for them. They would be very rich, they would do anything in that classmate. And we went for the liberation war to destroy that system. That is what we used to say when we do war. To cook our system as to cook our war. But when we took over power in 1980, we forgot to destroy the system that was used by the whites to colonize us. What we then did, I'm going to check one guy, because I'm sort of a system, to colonize a system that made us so poor, a system that was exclusive of us, and we forgot to change it. We were trapped through the Lancaster House arrangement. The Lancaster House arrangement was used in many British countries, such as Kenya and others, so that the system of colonialism would not be removed, it would continue. So what they did is takabvisa murungu muchena, tukadaisa murungu mutema. And murungu mutema was Wamgabi, currently Mnangagwa. We continue to use the same system yet oppressor. We forgot to change the system that was oppressing us, because the system that was oppressing us it was designed for the white community only, 200,000 people. Even if you look today, when whatever they reach, they are put 200,000 because they are accommodated by the colonial system. Yatakaita. Therefore, not about Wondo, to destroy a system here, to use a system in the black majority. But the system in Marungu, the black majority is still part of the family. Another that I want to give you. Kanawaka Kaimba 4, Litica, Munopana number 4. Kanawaka was 20, because I change Imba, Vana for one water pansy. So this is the system that we have today. The system here, you maintain a commanded on 200,000. Yet community is back, you have 16 million. So that the other 15 million people, they are excluded of the accommodation of the governing system. Therefore, what I'm proposing right now, we need to introduce new systems that is going to be inclusive of the government, of the majority of the people, such as developing a governing system in other elements, a woman community. Idaba, Pachinivenda, Ilima, Pachinivenda, inclusive, so that we expand the governing system, expand the family area, which is going to be accommodated. How then do we do it? We've already done it before. In Zimbabwe, particularly for Condition Moringa, we formed a government of inclusivity. It accommodated all transactions in In 1987, we did the same thing when we did the cabinet emergency and so forth. We came together and formed the unit accord. We were very inclusive. In 2008, with the Shangri-La Mugabe saga, again it brought us together. If you check on the economic growth and graph, on those three instances, economically Zimbabwe actually grew positive. And the people of Zimbabwe actually benefit. Which therefore means the governance of that nation is Afrocentric. So she knows the government of national unity from family to family. So it's actually not the way we take it. It's Afrocentric. And if you look at it, that is what Europe has done. Europe, Germany, Italy, Israel, they don't care about the super majority here to Zimbabwe. Anika one of the biggest vote here and former collective government with others to avoid unnecessary opposition can have Tonga. Because you know, this is Tuneta candidate at Spanon Mujeti. Chijatu election is the Mulamari. Jango vote up, I want to vote. We are together for a government of national unity. This is a potential rebel. It is the same vision, same direction. So that at she waste that time. Whenever you go to Tamil, we cannot afford that. And that is Afrocentric government of national unity. Marus, I never been from the African person. That's why Europe is taking that. Right. China's took it. Uganda, in this, sorry, not Uganda, Rwanda is the only country in Africa that is understood what I'm talking about. There are more than 5 political parties in the cabinets of Rwanda. They are giving here the responsibility of my prime minister, my speaker of parliament, but they work together. Look at how the economy of Rwanda is developing. It's becoming the best, the strongest economy in Africa because of the new systems of governance, of appreciating it. Let us throw away the winner-take-all concept. It's evil, it's dangerous, it impoverishes us. The only country that is well known for the winner-take-all now is America. But look at what has happened for the last 3.5 years. Joe Biden gets us Trump. There's no growth, there's nothing. People are always at each other's neck. Even Britain, our colonial master, is going to strategically change the system. That's why they have a paid opposition party. That's why they got this leader of the house thing, which is the opposition leader, who is actually on salaries. And his cabinet, his opposition cabinet is also on salary. They are trying to bring them together so that they focus on issues of economy rather than focusing on opposition every time. So Zimbabwe cannot, Africa at large must transform and change completely from the colonial systems of governance to Afrocentric systems of governance, which are inclusive in nature. We are known as Africans for uniting, working together, feeling for each other. This is what I want to promote in Zimbabwe. This extreme hatred between Chamisa, Mnangagwa, Komichi must end. We are all Zimbabwean people. Let us focus on building our economy. Let us focus on feeling sorry for our children that are not employed today. Unemployment in Zimbabwe is very high. The abject poverty is too extreme. If you're a good leader, should feel sorry for the kids, feel sorry for the future of our young kids, feel sorry for our women, feel sorry for our systems. If you're a leader, put forward the interests of the people. That is what I'm putting forward, the interests of the people. I want the people of Zimbabwe to unite. I want the people of Zimbabwe to feel for the people, for young kids that are in the street. Feel for the economy that's developing. Even one of the greatest, the richest country on Africa is Zimbabwe. But we're the poorest community in Africa. I was ashamed. This country's got gold, diamond, everything that you want is found in Zimbabwe. So if we come together and unite and follow the Afrocentric system that I'm talking about right now, the government, the people of Zimbabwe will be the richest people in our country. But we can't do that because we're failing to realize what I'm talking about right now.
Perfect sense. My next question, Senator, is looking at these elections, are you running personally in this election?
I'm not going to run personally as a candidate of some sort, but I want to talk to people about what I introduced right now. I want to call for unity among the lives of the people. The people of Zimbabwe have suffered enough. Our youth have suffered enough. Our women have suffered enough. I shall be their voice before whoever is going to run in this country, whoever is going to lead this country. So please unite people of Zimbabwe. Go for the inclusive systems, share the power, and focus on economy. Let us not waste time with showing each other the power at the expense of the people's lives. That I shall be the voice of the people. I shall represent people in the forum. I shall be the voice. I want people to unite. I want Zanu PF leadership, Triple C leadership, Kasukuere and Namatuku, basically to have this conscience you put at the end of the day. It's not about them. It's not about you. It's about the people, the mothers who are in the locations, the young people who are loitering in the locations, the mothers that are in the rural areas. Look at what is happening. The future of this country is a very powerful economic country, but we're performing very well.
Recently, I saw an article in one of the major papers which seemed to indicate that you are running behind those who are in this election. Can you confirm that you're doing this?
I'm more interested on what will benefit the people of Zimbabwe. And I'm not much interested in what individual leaders are going through right now. Because I'm more concerned on what is happening on our people, on our youth, and on our women. I want the leadership in the opposition and the leadership in the ruling government to all feel for the people so that they come out with a solution which will benefit the people of Zimbabwe. So I do not be antagonistic against the ruling party or the opposition. I want to encourage them to put the interests of the people first. This is the position I want to take from now. I want them to look at the needs of the people other than their individual needs. I want them to respect the people's sufferings other than their own. Because most of these leaders that we have in Zimbabwe are not suffering. They are very rich, especially from Zambia. They've got everything. They are rich. But the people that they are using to maintain them in their positions are suffering. are suffering. And I want to stay with the people that are suffering more than the leaders. So I want to encourage people in the opposition, encourage the people in the ruling party to put the interests of the people first rather than their own individual interests.
So since you say your MDC is the correct MDC which espouses the values of the original MDC, are you going to be operating from Harvest House again? Since that's the home of the MDC.
Yes, that one would correct it. The opposition headquarters, MDC opposition headquarters is the Harvest House. That one will be dealt with in due course. But what we are trying to do now is to revive the conscience of the MDC, to reconnect to the people, rebuild the real opposition politics, destroy what was then put forward by Myanmar, which was labeled by many people in Zimbabwe as Zanu project. We want to destroy that. We want to rebuild the Morgan Komichi politics. So we are reorganizing and galvanizing across the country. The response is very positive. All the 10 provinces are collectively working together to rebuild the original MDC politics. And
then the rumor that you are going to be running in this election under a different party, was it Robert Chapman's party that you said? Is it true or false?
No, we are collectively working together as to promote the opposition politics. We want to improve the opposition politics. And we do believe that if the opposition people can work together, to be better off than the individual approach. I personally very much agree in the alliance setup. Remember, I was also key in the MDC alliance of 2018 campaigns. I was actually one of the 4 front runners of establishing the MDC alliance. And I do believe that's the way to go. Recently, I was in Kenya. I met with President Odinga, and President Odinga ran an alliance with more than 13 to 15 political parties that I admire. And I do believe opposition can do better if we really respect these alliances. Currently, we are very vulnerable, such that we have not respected the alliance aspect. But I do probably, of course, I've just joined the leadership of the opposition politics just 1 week ago. I don't think I'll be able to influence much, but I want to demonstrate. That's why I am working with Youngman. Chapman. I want to demonstrate that sometimes you need to sacrifice your egos and put the interests of the people forward. So we would have been in a very better position if we had an alliance, or the political party that is right now, because we would put enough pressure against ZANU to at least reform 1 or 2 things. But anyway, let's not discourage each other. Let's hope we'll do better as opposition, and let's hope we'll do better in the next elections. But however, that's the reason why I said the MAU young men on board. So I don't want to disturb the voters. I want to respect those that are already there. And I want Zimbabwe to change completely from the current economic quagmires. I want to see the rich country of Zimbabwe, where the young men and young women benefit out of their riches. I strongly believe that country, Zimbabwe, is a very rich country that can take care of its population. 16 million Zimbabweans are far much less number of people. Because if we compare them to the riches in this country in terms of gold, platinum, diamonds that we have, good soils that we have, good rains that we have, Zimbabwe can take care of its 16 million people without any problem if we structure and put the proper governance in place. If we work as a Zimbabwean family, I call upon the youth, the Zimbabweans, call upon the Zimbabweans to respect the peace that this country has, and I also call upon the Zimbabweans to make sure that we have a shared vision on what we want to achieve as a country.
When you had your press conference on the 14th of June, there were a couple of activists from your other, say, the reformation of the MDC who echoed you, and they said that it was simply sour grapes on the part because you had not been nominated and you received 3 votes at the last Congress. So you had no support. That's why you were breaking away, or you were forming your own version of the MDC.
I never respected the processes that were done under Mr. Mwonzora's processes from the EOC were full of very undemocratic processes. I do not dwell much on that. But after he messed up, I am the very person who then went to meet with other leaders who had boycotted the Congress, such as Madam Kute and my friend Elias Mzolo. I am the person, having seen all the rubbish that had been done in that EOC, I swallowed my pride. I said, I want to build the party. I personally visited Madam Kute, personally visited Papa Mzuri and said, okay, guys, come here. Let's work for a better organization. We deal with these issues in the future. That was me who did that. Remember, if you go back to the time of our EOC, Madam Kube took time to come on board. Mr. Mzuri took time to come on board. But I said, let me put the interest of the people in front. And I did that. That didn't mean that I approved that nonsense. I put the interest of the people first. So really, Mr. Mwonzora should be shelved. He is not respecting the values that he taught Chamisa. Remember, he took Chamisa to court. But what he's doing after taking Chamisa to court, next Chamisa is said.
Right, perfect. Speaking on the economy again, Senator, let's just say today you miraculously become the president of Zimbabwe, and looking at the economy as it is, at the inflation rate that is spiraling out of control, what exactly would you do to stop this economic damage?
The reason why the country is in this economic warfare is not the family of the international community. It's isolated. It's sanctioned. So the first duty for any leader who wants to restore the strength of the economy of this country is to make sure that the Zimbabwe joins the economic family. So that you make Zimbabwe isolated. Zimbabwe is actually isolated. That's the first thing. Right. You make sure that you reintroduce Zimbabwe to the families of the international community. That's the first thing. If you do that, in economy, you cannot dig your own gold and sell your gold to yourself. You cannot dig your platinum and sell it to yourself. You need to dig platinum, dig gold, dig copper, dig iron, and sell it to the external world. Right. Now, if you cannot create that environment, you can keep your gold, you can keep your platinum, you can keep your iron, you still stuff. This is what is happening in Zimbabwe today. So Zimbabwe needs to be introduced to the families of the international world, so that it becomes part and parcel of the process. Respect of good governance, democracy, is what is currently pushing the whole of Africa and the whole of the world now. We have to respect that. We have to respect that. And for us, we take the power as if we are going to that's the disease. And when you agree to run election, and then let them be free, fair, and credible elections. If you are voted out of power, you don't die. Whoever is voted out of power, in power is a Zimbabwean. They support each other. So really, that is one thing that I think there's no big problem at all, but attitude. However, I know Zimbabwe's history is the liberation movement.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Senator Komichi, for coming through and speaking to us. And as a last contribution, may you kindly address Zimbabweans in general, not the politicians, but the people, and give the message to them.
Thank you so much. What I'm appealing to the people of Zimbabwe. As a nation, we have suffered economic We are victims of power mongers. We are victims of the people who don't care about our needs as the general public. Let us hold our political leaders accountable so that they put the needs of our children, of our mothers, our wives, and our fathers in the first place. Let us hold the leaders that they are our servants. We people of Zimbabwe who are the masters of our leaders. They are accountable to us. So whoever wants to lead this Zimbabwe must have the interest of the public, not his own personal interest. So I, as Morgan Komichi, am going to stay with the public. And we will demand together with you accountability of any leader who takes power. And we are convinced, and we got evidence on the ground, kuti kutonga wegasi hapana zvatinowana. Tine evidence yekuti every time when you ruled together in 1980, 1987, in 2008, the general public of Zimbabwe can benefit. So we now demand that whoever wins the election should form a cabinet to receive it, because we now have the evidence. That's the only way the Zimbabwean economy can grow. Tine evidence here Rwanda, tine evidence in Europe. They have now also gone the way you receive it. So why should we remain behind their systems that are cake, they're exclusive, it's not veganisa, it's not rubisanisa, it's not an economy like that now. Zimbabwe is a very rich country, but it has failed because of the governance systems that were archaic, that were following. Let's go Afrocentric, let us be inclusive in nature. We are a great country with great riches. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Komichi. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for watching. Catch you on the next program.